We're seeing more homeowners who want to move but feel stuck because they need to sell in order to buy. I'm Lauren, and this is Raul, and we're walking you through how to successfully navigate both sides of the transaction in today's market. What is the first step if you want to sell and buy at the same time?
Yeah, I think the first step is trying to figure out your financial resources, right? Where do we stand? And I think the best way is to get with a trusted lender. That way they can run all our numbers and see if we can afford both payments, how much equity you have, and all that good stuff that goes along with it. But at least we're in a good financial state of mind.
So what challenges do move-up buyers face in 2025, and what's to be avoided?
It really just depends, because there's those opportunities we need to close by a certain date, or we need to get this one under contract by a certain date. So it's really juggling the two and trying to figure out what's going on. Sometimes we have limited inventory, so if we have a house to sell and you want that specific house, we need to do a couple things prior in order to have a really good option to go ahead and go under contract on the second property. But we want to try to take away the financial burden, I think, is the hardest part, because sometimes that strain of too many things happening without actually having too much control is a hard thing. So having a trusted agent to kind of guide you through the process is probably the biggest key.
So I've been seeing it advertised a lot on TV and radio stations where an agent will come in and buy your home now so that you can easily move and just sell later.
Yeah, so I call that the convenience factor, right? Sometimes if people have been in their house 15, 20 years and they have a whole bunch of equity and they don't care, they just want to get into the new property, sometimes that makes sense. But when people have been paying 5, 10, 15 years, hard-earned money, sweat equity into that property, I mean, they're not going off of an appraisal. I guarantee you, if you ask them, how do you come up with your justification, they're going to say, oh, we're going up with 70% or 70 cents on the dollar. And a lot of times we get the phone call saying, hey, I got disrespected by this low offer, and, I don't think it's right. What are the numbers? How does it look? And what they're doing is they're basically trying to do an advancement on your equity, right? Number one, you got to be able to afford both payments. Number two, you got to have tons of equity in your home. And then they're going to give you a low offer to say, hey, we'll get you out of your mortgage. Why? You might only owe $100,000, but the house is worth $300,000. So for them, if they give you $150,000, they're still really, really put in a good situation, right? They have the leverage to say, if this house doesn't sell, we've made our gap to where we don't lose any money. But you're leaving $120,000 on the table. So when you're trying to buy at a higher interest rate, or you're trying to bring down that payment, you're not going to be able to, and you're going to have to do what's called like a bridge loan or something like that to help alleviate some of that stress. But I think if it sounds too good to be true, more than likely it is. And I challenge everyone, if you do get one of those offers, call us. Let's see what we can do to compare the two together, because there's a reason why we've been doing this for 43 years, and these guys just come out of the woodworks in the last 3 or 5 years. Because right now that's kind of what's leading the pack, because it's hard to sell, so they come in and buy at a low rate. Well, they're protected. We don't have investors to get back to and show that we've made profits for them. So our only fiduciary is to our clients, and I challenge them to see if they offer the same in return.
What is the process of selling a home while trying to purchase a new one?
Yeah, I think identifying what we need to do first. Obviously, we know we want to buy something new, so we got to prep your house and get it ready to go on market. I always like to get on the market first, because then it gives us more options and more leverage. Well, we could simultaneously look for a property all day long. Now, if we're buying a new construction, well, at least we have a target date. Hey, by the end of the year, we know we have to be in that house. So what do we have to do in between? Or maybe you're trying to get something that's resale. Let's get on the market, get your house showing, looking good, and get an offer to where we could go out and make contingency offers. We could do lease backs. So like let's say we're closing at the end of the month and we close today, which is 2 weeks from the end of the month. Well, we can negotiate a lease back so you don't have to move twice sometimes, right? Which helps you with the transition period. We want to try to align the closings as best as possible in a perfect world, right? Sometimes it makes it a little bit more complex, but I'll tell you, if we're able to get your house on the market, maximize your dollars, if I got you an extra 10 or 15 grand, staying a weekend in a hotel is not going to bother you very much, right? We could come up with that solution. I just don't want to leave any money on the table. So it's really just getting the game plan together to where we can maximize the hard-earned equity.
That is why you want to find an experienced agent, right? That's right. Okay, big question. Should you rent or should you buy?
Okay, that depends, right? Because
how do you make that decision?
Well, there's a lot of people that we talk to that know that they need to buy a different house, whether it's bigger, smaller, whatever it might be. The key is, what are you leaving behind, right? Because right now we all know that within the last 5-6 years, some people got in the opportunity to take advantage of a 2.3 interest rate or a 3% interest rate.
It's hard to leave.
It's hard to leave. Yeah, it's like having a marriage breakup, right? It's like, I don't want to leave you, but it's not working out. But I want to try to figure something out. At the end of the day, if you have a 3% interest rate, sometimes your mortgage payment might be lower than what the average rents are going around your neighborhood. So you might be able to rent out, make some cash flow to where you're able to help offset the cost of the new house that you're coming into. So it really just depends. I always say, let's do the math. Let's figure out the exercise, write it all down. And if it makes sense, let's make it happen. If it doesn't, then we can sell it and move you into the other one and just, remodify the payment.
Right. And if you're willing to, kind of do that extra work with like those phone calls, if you don't want to, what is it, like property management, and.
Yeah, and we could lease it out, figure out, solutions for them and try to make it easy.
No. So how can the Schrader Group help?
Yeah, so number one, we're experienced. We've been doing this for many, many years. But it's putting you guys and protecting you guys is our number one job. So we want to put you in the right direction, right? You never want to point someone in the wrong direction, but we want to put you in the direction to where you're going to succeed, whether that's renting out your property, whether it's aligning the two properties to where we could get you from transaction A to get to transaction B. Or it's whether we're going to do a build and actually plan it out right. That way nobody's homeless for 6 months, 7 months out of the year. We try to alleviate some of that pain, maximize their equity, because I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if we don't have the money. And I'm a big proponent of, you make one payment, that payment matters. Every dollar counts. So we want to make sure that you're protected. And at the end of the day, with our knowledge and our expertise, we're able to align, come up with solutions that probably most other people can't. I mean, it's really easy when you put it on a board, but when you actually do it every single day and going through all the hiccups, we sell 500 homes a year for a reason, and that's because we come up with solutions. We'd probably be out of business if we weren't solving problems, right? and that's why we are who we are. We solve a lot of problems.
So whether you're upsizing, downsizing, or just simply relocating, we have helped thousands of families, and we would love to help you. If you have any questions, please reach out, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much. You have a blessed day, and we'll talk to you soon.